Big D Entertainment, in association with Dipsy Doodle Productions, presents the Dave Holly Hour. Brought to you by the Sky Lounge and Tea, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, and Books and Brews Pizzeria. The Dave Holly Hour features Sioux Empire arts and entertainment conversations and has been recognized by the Sioux Falls Stage Awards with a special distinction for promoting the arts. A true lover of arts, entertainment, good food, and fun times, including an occasional Jack Daniels. Okay, so a few Jack Daniels. Here he is, Dave Holly.
Welcome, everybody. What a pleasure to be with you yet again on a weekend eve. A Thursday has rolled around, and this time it's episode 66. If it weren't for copyrights, you'd be hearing Nat King Cole in the background with Route 66. A favorite of mine, despite the fact that I'm a route guy, not a route guy. Yeah, tomato, tomato, potato, potato. This show, if you're listening for the first time, is about Sioux Empire arts and entertainment conversations, and we have two great ones today. Sadie Swier from downtown Sioux Falls will tell us about the promotions they've had, what's coming up, what's been hit by the pandemic. You know that is the correct pronunciation of it too, don't you? You agree with me. And then we'll find out, how the arts and entertainment industry in this community surrounds downtown Sioux Falls as well. And speaking of Sadie, sometimes you come across somebody that you can tell by the passion that they have when you're talking to them about their occupation that they were the right hire. Wow. It's just, you're going to hear it in her voice. The other thing you're going to hear later on in the show then is local comedian William Conway. He is not afraid to tell you about his past. We get into that a little bit, as well as comedy in general with him and so forth. That is all coming up here today on the Dave Holly Hour. But first, time to grab your favorite beverage, lift it high, and toast it to being Thursday, a.k.a. Weekend Eve.
Hey, the weekend isn't around the corner, it's here!
So long, hump day in your frumpy way. We say hello to Thursdays with opening nights. The weekend is near and we can see the bright lights. Yes, Thursday, you're so hearty, we can't wait for Friday, so a day early, we start the party. All right, get out whatever you're drinking. Of course, that's going to be dependent upon the time of day. If you're listening at breakfast, coffee, milk, OJ, something along that line. Me, when I record this the evening before. Jack Daniels, Diet Coke, and a lime, better known as Jasper Newton. And our toast today, because of all this incredibly cold weather, goes out to our local TV meteorologists because they have to put up with all our asinine comments about, oh, why can't you stop this cold weather? Yeah, that always makes it sound so SMRT, doesn't it? Well, that is something we do on a regular basis as we toast to Weekend Eve, but we also have something else that we do weekly. Let's find out. Honorable mention. Yes, once a week we give out a shout-out to somebody that made me laugh, giggle, guffaw, slap my knee silly, chortle, chuckle, laugh out loud. Or maybe I cried some tears of joy or something along that line. Well, this week it goes out to one of our unpaid staff members. In fact, I think he's the only unpaid staff member that hasn't received this yet. And that is our buddy, the Gramster, Graham Wilson. He gets it for his very quick retort, timely. In fact, he even used the pregnant pause properly and so forth. So, here's the setup for it. We had gone down to our wine bar last Thursday for some live jazz. I had made some stupid remark, a little pun type thing and so forth. And I wasn't getting any applause, especially from my wife, Miss Carey's. And she looks over to Graham and the fashionista Elijah and says, "See what I have to put up with?" Graham says, "Oh, I think we know." So for the timely and humorous comeback from Graham Wilson, Another one of the unpaid staff members here at the Dave Holly Hour. Congrats, my friend. You are this week's winner of the coveted honorable mention. And, I think that Graham might be the last of the unpaid staff to actually receive one of the awards. Congratulations on that. Here is what's headed your way. Later in the show, local comedian William Conway. But coming up next, from downtown Sioux Falls, Sadie Swier. It's all ahead on the Dave Holly Hour. Dr. Perry Langston and Dr. Corey Tooney know excellence is in you. That's why they provide you with excellent care at XO Chiropractic, improving your overall health in spirit, body, mind, and will. Get results the natural way. Arrange a consultation, 605-332-9235 or xochiros.com. Excellent care for excellent people. XO Chiropractic, located at 4309 South Racket Drive in Sioux Falls. Welcome back to the Dave Holly Hour, everybody. It is such a great time when Thursday rolls around. You know what we call it? Weekend Eve. We love this time. And it's been a cold week, and sounds like it might be cold again, but you know what? That doesn't stop downtown Sioux Falls from percolating a little bit. And the gal that makes it do so is Sadie Swier, and she's on the show today. Hello, Sadie.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, my pleasure. And I like I said before we started, I'd been wanting to for quite some time, because the greatest thing for me, as someone who's been living in Sioux Falls about 25 years now, but originally from Rock Rapids, so this was the place to come, is just the explosion that we've seen in the arts and the entertainment, even despite what we've had this past year with a pandemic. And that is the correct pronunciation of it, true. The pandemic.
I love it.
Yeah, but so one of the things that you do is, even during these times when it's cold, you've got things going on all year round.
Absolutely.
So we can be, if not necessarily entertained by musicians, plays, or things going on like that, there's still a lot of things that you get done to entertain us.
Absolutely.
Big one, of course, that just finished up, Burger Battle.
That's right. Yeah, a lot of beef.
Yeah, that's for sure. Is there an actual number, a total of how many hamburgers were had during that time? What was it?
Let's talk some beef stats.
Yeah.
We definitely can. I think one thing that's been changed in the last couple of years with Burger Battle that's helped its explosion and helped us plan it and create a better experience is that DTSF Digital Passport app that we've been able to create. And this has helped people vote on those burgers. But it's also really helped us be able to judge how many people are doing it and what we can track with that, as well as just being better connected with these restaurants and making sure that we're talking to them on a weekly basis. So, drum roll, the final count.
This,
oh my gosh, there you go.
Okay, let's do the rim shot.
Drum roll.
There we go.
There was over 31,000 burgers sold in 4 weeks in downtown Sioux Falls. 24 restaurants. I mean,
let's see, about one per every 7 persons in the city.
I mean, I need to pull out my calculator, but I'll trust you on that. It's insane though. And so we have had so much support. And last year, 2020, we tracked 19,000 burgers sold. That's a
pretty big increase in a pandemic year.
Exactly. And, I'm going to be honest with you. For us, we went from 16 restaurants in 2020 to 24 restaurants this year. And so we thought to ourselves, with the pandemic, with everything else going on, over 24 restaurants, we thought, are we going to see as much turnout? Are we going to see as many burgers sold? But on the other hand, what else is really going on?
True.
These restaurants have figured out how to do carry out, take out, delivery since this last spring. And so we saw the community come out and support these restaurants and support downtown. So 31,000 burgers, insane. 24 restaurants. We calculated that there was over $430,000 spent on just
burgers.
The burgers. That was just the burgers. And then, of course, we use the from the Arts and Society Culture Study, and I'd have to get the exact number for you, but I believe it's $30.35. And when you use that number, Sculpture Walks used it, Experience Sioux Falls used it, you calculate an overall economic impact. And so using that number with how many people participated in Burger Battle, over $940,000, nearly $1 million in economic impact. And that's what people spent on Burger Battle this year.
That's amazing.
So, I mean, it's incredible. And we are so, so thankful for that. And these restaurants really needed just a breath of life.
True.
Which is historically the most slow month of the year, January. And now we brought this huge promotion. And it started off with humble beginnings. It was the 8th year. And we just are so excited to use this momentum to keep supporting businesses and keep bringing some more culture to downtown, whatever that is.
So how many can we handle next year?
I don't know. You know, the thought process behind 24, people are always talking about, you know, what's the cap? What's the most you want to do? Because there's absolutely more than 24 restaurants in downtown Sioux Falls. And for example, the winner this year, Papa Woody's, it was a pizza place.
Exactly.
They didn't even have a burger on their menu. So there's, of course, restaurants who could possibly do that as well. So this year was all about supporting the restaurants. We want to be mindful of the people who actually do participate in Burger Battle and want to complete all the restaurants. And this year we're calling them the Burger Brawlers.
Oh.
And there was 42 people
42
who
made it.
ate and voted at all 24 restaurants.
I didn't get the chance to, but I know somebody that did, and it's about the skinniest person I know.
Yeah, and then you hear some people who say, I lost weight during January. I'm like, how? What? I don't get it. Anyways, so, you know, we want to be mindful of that. But this year, we just wanted to make sure that we are lifting up as many restaurants as possible. That's why you saw, you know, Five Guys. That's why you saw some of these larger restaurants. But, you know, it showed that Chef Lance's, Papa Woody's, those real family businesses, those were the top performing restaurants. Those were the ones that won. So
did you have a favorite?
I did, and I feel comfortable sharing it because Burger Battle is done.
Right, yeah, so you can
But I had a couple favorites. So between Swamp Daddies, they had a Who Dat burger, kind of a play on the Mardi Gras, and it was delicious. I'm all about a good beef patty. So they had delicious seasoning. They cooked it to in my personal opinion, perfection. Swamp Daddies. Tommy Jack's had a delicious sweet and savory burger.
Love Tommy Jack's.
It was so good. Tommy Jack's. And then probably the Treasury. They had a really blue cheese heavy burger. And I mean, anything the Treasury makes, it's going to be a home run. So those were a
including
couple of
their
my
old
favorites.
fashions.
Oh, yes. Crawford's Old Fashioned is my favorite.
Well, see, Crawford's is one of my favorite places for a mixed drink as well. But because typically I'm Jack Daniel's Diet Coke with a lime. That's what we go with. That's the standard. The lime, while it is for taste, it's also a test to make sure the bartender actually follows through and puts it in there. Otherwise, the tip goes down. But, you know, the Treasury is such a classy place. They don't miss on that anyway.
Exactly.
But they do. Because that's like an homage to my father then. He used to either make a Bloody Mary or an old-fashioned almost every Sunday afternoon. And so I think of that, and when I go there, that's where I have the old-fashioned.
Yum.
Yeah.
Delicious.
And good memories, too. But see, that's what you're making for people here in downtown Sioux Falls is great memories with everything that's going on.
Yeah.
So where do we go from this point now, the rest of the year? And then we'll get into just a general discussion about arts and entertainment downtown as well. But so what's on the slate for you?
Well, February, we really take a monthly approach, and that's all around First Fridays, of course. And so First Fridays throughout the year, we're usually kicking something off, starting some kind of promotion, or we host those one-day events. I don't know if you've heard of block parties around here, but taking a step back, February is actually one of the only months that we don't do a lot. It's really our break month. But a couple years ago, the idea for a winter grant program came, and that was to promote a winter event. And so for the third year, that grant has been awarded to the Boys and Girls Club for the Winter Carnival. And so when this is going to be airing on Thursday, we'll actually be wrapping up the Winter Carnival. But I just have to say my heart goes out to them because having an event in February is hard enough.
It's
but if you remember
crapshoot on the weather.
exactly what I was going to say. 2 years ago, if we can remember that far back,
I know where you're headed.
polar vortex
Yep.
was going through Sioux Falls and hit right when the kickoff for Winter Carnival was happening. And then, of course, last year, pandemic.
Yep.
And then this year, again, the weather is just brutal.
Frigid.
And you know, for the Boys and Girls Club, this is all about bringing awareness
Right.
about their organization and fundraising, and like other nonprofits, they've been hit really hard. And so they're really trying to zero in on guaranteeing some funds, fundraising, especially for such a great cause. And they're a wonderful organization for kids downtown. So Winter Carnival still happening. Go
Right.
check it out. There's some indoor events as well, so go do that. So that's February, and then we actually take a time to celebrate for downtown Sioux Falls, our annual meeting. So that's not open to the public, but we still take that time at the end of the month, and we try to share all of our wins, and we have plenty of them. Even throughout the pandemic, we were able to uplift the arts and entertainment through different events. In 2020, we were able to do our own grant program for some of these small businesses as well. And so we want to do that in February.
Mm-hmm.
And then taking some of that momentum from a burger competition in January, March is going to be Mash Madness, which is a craft beer competition. That's right. So shout out to Wood Grain across the hallway. But we're going to be including some of those new breweries as well. Severance and Covert Artisan Ale, which Stacy is fantastic over there. She's great. And we just really want to take some of that excitement and bring it to that competition. Whereas it used to be just 2 weeks, we're doing it for the whole month. So it's not even 24 places. You can go to all of them, you know? But we'll be doing that. And then, of course, in April, we're kicking off Restaurant Week. So really great promotions to have, especially as we are working our way through the COVID-19 and the pandemic. And making sure people can come downtown, but do it in a safe way and how they're comfortable, instead of having just one event at one certain time, bringing as many people as we can to that, you know? So this is a good way to start safely reinvigorating downtown. And then once we hit May, once we hit June, July, that summer event season, we can start doing
going on.
Yes, then we can start doing block parties, live music. Levitt's coming back.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So I think
that
that'll
obviously
be so exciting.
was something that hit hard last year, was the Levitt, because the year before, the success of the first year here in Sioux Falls with that, just incredible. Blew
Yes.
everybody out of the water on that.
Exactly. And even specifically in downtown, it was that missing puzzle piece for Uptown, which
True.
of course is Northern Phillips. I mean, that's where your Jones 421 building is, your Cascade building, connecting Falls Park to downtown, which is what a lot of businesses said, you know, what can we do? What can we do? And that's where Levitt came in. And they were amazing for the community, but really great for that Uptown area as well.
Yeah, so we look forward to that coming back.
Woo-hoo.
And so many other things. So how do you look and view at downtown Sioux Falls as an organization? You know, we've talked about it. It sounds so many ways like it's an event destination, so forth. What else does it encompass, though?
Well, downtown Sioux Falls, we focus on connecting, growing, and celebrating the downtown area, and really with the mission of bringing economic traffic to downtown, whether that's foot traffic, online orders, especially with COVID-19, just really promoting our small businesses. But also we talk about one thing in our office, we say cultural powerhouse. That's what we want to do. So yes, it is events. Yes, it is promotions, but about building community. And, you know, one thing that we do is beautification. We focus on walkability of downtown, placemaking. And so we do different events or some things behind the scenes. We have a clean and green team. And that's a person that plants flowers, water flowers in the summer, cleans up trash in the wintertime. They're shoveling snow. So we're really taking care of downtown more than just the events and promotions. And then, of course, we're almost like a little chamber of commerce for downtown. So I work with our 250 members. So you can be a member business of DTSF, and we host different meetings, sometimes socials. We've taken a pause on those, but really connecting people there as well. And I think that's what we have over so many different other places, is that we can build these platforms for these businesses to connect and collaborate and work together. I mean, where else are you going to have 10 boutiques plan a boutique crawl together or have a restaurant coalition? So just having more of a platform to connect all these businesses, as well as provide the public and the community an opportunity to come together. And now we have to make sure that we're doing it in a safe way. And hopefully my personal hope is that we can have Riverfest again, since we had to cancel it.
Yeah. I remember the first year of that, and I thought, man, this is one of those that's going to, just continue to grow.
Yes, absolutely. And as DTSF has grown, it's an organization that's been around for 30 years. And to me, that is extremely powerful. And as a person who grew up around Sioux Falls and came to things like Parade of Lights or Sidewalk Arts Festival, for me personally, to be I'm getting goosebumps right now, to be a steward of that and to be a voice for that and to be a part of something that was so, like you said earlier, so important to making memories and experiencing this community. It's an honor, and I'm just so excited.
What does downtown Sioux Falls need? As you take a look, because I know that in this type of business, it's very common for people to look around at other similar-sized cities, especially their downtowns, what makes them thrive, things along that line. So in your guesstimate, what does Sioux Falls not have? And by the same token, what do we have that other places don't?
Here, I have one. I would love to see a larger event space in downtown Sioux Falls. I believe the Sioux Steel development is going to have more of a convention center feel with that hotel, but also that meeting space, because what I have noticed is that sometimes we lose some of these larger events that would be great around downtown, because you can just walk and you want your guests who have maybe never been to Sioux Falls before be able to experience where culture is really happening in our city, and that's downtown. And we lose some of those big events because we don't have big enough space here. So that's what I would love to see, is something like that convention space or a larger space than 500-600 people, something big like that. I don't know where that would go, but
is that something that DTSF would work closely with, economic development and so forth, or how would that come to fruition?
Potentially, yes. I mean, what's great about DTSF is that we also serve our community in advocacy. So if there is something that we try not to be too political, but if there is a development that they need a voice for, or they need some kind of stamp of approval, I mean, we can absolutely be behind a cause or go to the city council and say, yes, we are in support of this. It's not a role that we play a lot, but we are sitting in on a lot of conversations like that for sure.
Excellent. In the meantime, of course, we talk so much arts and entertainment on this show. Mentioned the Levitt already.
Yes.
Of course, we got the Sculpture Walk. That's a great draw.
Yes.
And now we've got an old theater that's back up and running, too.
Yes.
Anything like that comes along, that just must make you excited and go, oh, here we go, more things.
I know. Well, of course, with the Orpheum and the Washington Pavilion, those two art houses that have had to take a break. I mean, I completely understand, but the Sioux Falls State Theater, as its own nonprofit, it is so exciting to bring that back to life after 30 years and then be able to bring people there safely and really occupy that space for entertainment. And I have to say, I actually am working part-time there.
Oh,
so
no
you'll see me. Yes, I will get your popcorn or beer and wine.
Okay.
If you so choose to get something like that, or candy. So I have a special place in my heart for it because it is so much fun. And there's something so special when you walk in there and see how beautifully
the
renovated
grandeur.
it is. Yes, that is exactly the word. And seeing that, and also being able to hear people talk about how special it is and see it, they realize it's more than just the movie. You know, and listening to people say, "Oh, I remember coming here on our first date," or "I
You
remember."
led right to it.
Yes. Oh gosh.
Yes.
Do you have a story behind that too, or what?
Oh, I do.
I mean, I don't know how crazy you get, but I think one of my favorites was this older woman. She came in and she goes, "I always used to bring my dates here, and we always sat in the balcony in the back, but we weren't watching the movies." And I go, "Oh my, ma'am. Oh dear."
Well, growing up in Rock Rapids, once you were of legal age to drive and have that first official date out of town, you would come to
out
Sioux
of town,
Falls.
yes.
So came up here and ended up going to the State Theater in like late January of about 79 or something like that. And, was going to date the pastor's daughter. We were in youth group together, and she was quite chatty in youth group. So I thought, this will be, a breeze. Said only one thing on the drive from Rock Rapids up to Sioux Falls. And it's when we went past the 2,000-foot TV tower, she looked up at it and said, "I wonder how much bird shit's at the top of that." So I'm looking forward to my next date with my wife when we go to the State Theater.
Hopefully she'll
to
talk
see
more.
something nice.
Well, maybe I'll see you there and get
exactly.
your popcorn
Give
or
us the
beer
popcorn.
and wine, pop. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Great.
Yeah. Okay, so we got that little side story in.
Okay, yep. But yes, it's so special. And once we do have all of those entities and organizations back up and running, it'll be great because we'll have local live theater at the Orpheum. We'll have some local and Broadway level acts at the Washington Pavilion. And then we'll have that movie theater as well. So it's just occupying these different spaces in art and then fitting them together, collaborating, because that's what makes Sioux Falls so special.
And
it's
I
exciting.
see a lot of, more like regional type of, I won't say conventions so much as workshops and so forth coming to the area. Once we get the ability to have regional colleges come in and have competitions for their acting.
Yes.
And maybe we do the same with the estate, that there's going to be, because there's a lot of people in South Dakota that make films and such great interest in it that we're probably going to be seeing some film festivals and things along that line. So I can't wait for the pandemic to be completely over so we can embrace things again. But it does show just how incredibly explosive the whole arts and entertainment community has been. One of the other things, especially over just like the last 5 years, is seeing all the small groups of theater troupes popping up, comedy groups, places to perform comedy, like the book co-op, having they'll hold some small plays there and so forth. So it's been just incredible to see not just the number of things taking place, but the number of places for them to take place at.
For sure. And even places that you might not think. I know that there's been open mic nights at Full Circle Book Co-op. There's been open mic nights at Books and Brews, which was the previous Fernson.
Yeah.
And Books and Brews.
Spend a lot of time there.
Very good. Yes. Karaoke Tuesday nights, right?
You got it.
And then even places like La Luna Cafe or The Source, two coffee places, will have those open mic nights as well. And, another antidote I've heard from the pandemic is that Ricardo with our wine bar, something that he has recognized with his customer base and also new people who are coming out of town, they want to hear live music. And so that's one thing he's reinstated, and even today, which is Monday, he's doubled down on bringing live music because there's not a lot of other places doing it right now. And I'll never forget this last summer, we had our first block party and we were promoting it and we had somebody playing live music. And I just remember listening and like getting goosebumps because I forgot the last time I had heard live music being played. and realizing, wow, we are providing this when not a lot of other people are. And so I think people realizing they can come to downtown and go see people live and do it in a safe way is going to be very powerful and be a turning point for our year.
No doubt about that. And, same feelings. Ricardo at Our Wine is fantastic. In fact, Santa sang there this year.
Yeah.
Kind of heard that, via the North Pole phone line.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that, downtown Sioux Falls is going to be doing in, let's give it, 5-10 years? That old thing like you walk into your last day of college and the professor says, all right, here's your final. Write down where you're going to be in 5 or 10 years.
I think right away, my initial reaction is that it's just going to keep growing footprint wise. We're going to see more development. We're going to see, to me, it sounds like the sexy word is mixed use buildings. So we're going to see more development that is offices, residential, but also bringing some more of those storefront small businesses as well. So offices, in 5 years, we're going to see maybe not downtown expand that much out, but we're going to see it grow up more.
Yeah.
Yes. So more development that way. I'd like to see more collaboration with the events. I remember the summer of 2019, the first summer of Levitt, the first summer of the Arc of Dreams, one of our best years for block parties, Riverfest, Loft Tour. I mean, those types of summer events. There was so many things happening and going on that all of our event organizations need to realize, we could work together, because there was 2, 3, 4
Right.
events happening on the same night. And I'd love to see all of us working together more.
Yeah, just like any time I've been involved in an organization or something, and they're trying to pick the perfect date for an event. It's like get out
That
the
doesn't exist
dartboard.
anymore.
Yeah, because you're going to compete against something.
Yep.
There's going to be a handful of things going on.
And on the other side too, Sioux Falls is growing enough that our community can support.
Can handle it. True.
I mean, 2019 was still an extremely successful summer. But being more mindful and maybe cross-promoting, I think, would be the best way to go. And that's what I would love to see in the next 5 years.
Excellent. Always finish up with a couple of questions. First of all, what do you like to be entertained by in Sioux Falls? What do you like to take in?
I love live music.
Mm-hmm.
I have completely fallen in love with the State Theater. I usually go to a movie per week there. I would like to go to more shows at the Washington Pavilion, for sure. And I'd really like to do more karaoke. I'm not good at it at all.
Stick with me.
But Dave, okay. Where do you like to karaoke at? Books and Brews?
Books and Brews is a big spot, and been out to the Alpine a few times. And
Alpine.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
I've been there
And
one
then
time.
Second Saturday of the month, we go east a little bit to Rowena.
Okay.
Crazy Frank from K-Back Radio. Crazy Frank karaoke the second Saturday every night at Red Rock.
Amazing.
And it's too
Okay.
bad they're not downtown because they've got great perkers too. All right, so that for entertainment.
Yep.
Other hobbies though outside of that. Yeah,
I mean,
voracious
that's
reader
always
or
that's a tough question for me, because I truly spend my time volunteering or doing my job with DTSF, part-time work with State Theater, but I really love spending my time with friends and family. So I'm usually downtown doing something, whether that's bingo, shopping, having a happy hour, doing lunch or dinner. So do I read a lot and do I do knitting or sewing? No.
Okay.
But I'm spending my time being with people. That's where I draw a lot of my energy and love.
And obviously shows that it's enjoyable.
Yes.
All right. Sadie Swier, thank you so much for telling us more about downtown Sioux Falls, talking about the arts and entertainment community here as well, and appreciate you being on the Dave Holly Hour.
Thank you so much. It was great.
Thank you, and we'll be back with more in just a moment. Ladies, when it's time to give your nails some love, get that extra special treatment from Quality Nails on South Minnesota Avenue in Sioux Falls. Manicures and pedicures that look great and make you feel fantastic. Zaya and Tony provide professional care for your hands and feet, whether you just want the basics or an extra special look with added flair. Oh, and guys, it's okay to treat yourself too. Quality Nails. Call for an appointment. 605-334-1463. Welcome back to the Dave Holly Hour here on this weekend eve. Another Thursday's come along, and it's been a little cold, but you know what? Doesn't stop us from enjoying life, especially enjoying comedy. And joining us now, one of the newer local comics to the scene, William Conway. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Dave. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure, man. You know, I've seen you a few times and have enjoyed your bits and so forth, but what really got me was I think we were at our mutual friend Zach Dress's birthday over at the Books and Brews on a karaoke night.
We were.
Yeah, and all of a sudden William gets up and sings, and I'm sitting there going, okay, what's a young comic like this going to sing? And then it's like, there's more to this man's soul than meets the eye.
Right. I think I sang Love Potion number 9.
Yeah.
And I even danced during there was like a little musical break during that one. So I did a little shimmy during that. And there's the girl I was with recorded that. So there's video evidence to that out there somewhere.
All right. So first of all, tell us, give us a little bit of the background as to how you got into comedy.
It's actually kind of crazy. So I started doing comedy in June of 2002. And I did the last open mic that the Funny Bone did before Nitwits took over in the basement of the brewery.
Right.
Like just down the road from where we're at here. And I ended up winning. It was a competition night, and the winner of that competition was given a 6-month rotation spot as an opening house MC for Nitwits, the new club.
Really?
Because Nitwits needed talent. Right? Well, it just so happened that was the week that my friends had talked me into going, and I won the contest. So my first time performing, I got a paying gig because that gig paid $25 a show. And so anytime I'd make $150 any week that I worked for Nitwits, so I got a paying gig my first time on stage, which never happens.
True.
And it probably shouldn't have, by the way. just so we're clear, I had no clue what I was doing.
So you said somebody actually, nudged you into this, right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
My friends totally pushed me to do it because, I would just crack them up around the house and stuff all the time. And they were like, dude, you should do comedy, And all I did is talk about my life and tell my stories, which is what I still do. You know what I mean? It's why I don't write a lot of material, because I don't have to. I just go and tell the same stories I've been telling my entire life, and everybody laughs. Yeah, I get it.
So, at what age did you know, even before doing this, though? Were you a joke teller? So
looking back, I think so. My dad was really into movies and comedy and stuff like that, and I remember him renting Bill Cosby himself.
Right.
Right. Which it irks me these days to tell this story, but it's the truth.
Okay.
Like Bill Cosby was huge when I was growing up, and I remember practicing in the mirror how to talk loose-lipped, like he did during his dentist bit for that one. And I was in the mirror just just trying to figure out how did like that, and I just learned to
go fishing often.
Yeah, and it's just like, You know, like you really do. You have to train your lip to not care. You know, like normal kids probably weren't doing that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that was definitely a sign. You know, and I remember like the way I used to kind of escape to get away from the chaos that was my childhood is I would walk a lot. And I remember like interviewing myself on like talk shows and stuff like that about, you know, because I always wanted to do movies and everything like that, you know, and I love comedy and I love doing it. I love the audiences. I love the shows. But I mean, I definitely want more.
Right.
You know what I mean?
What were you originally thinking that you would do in life then?
Oh, gosh. You know what? Growing up was a little different for me because I didn't, you know, when I was little, you know, I had aspirations and stuff like that. But, like, I got involved in bad stuff pretty early on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I started drinking on my own when I was, like, 11, started doing drugs when I was 13, you know, and to be honest, like, I would say by the time I was a teenager, I really didn't think about living past 21.
Really?
You know what I mean? Because I was already in it pretty hard.
You know, and that's one of the things that I've liked about you is the fact that you are not afraid to talk about that.
No.
It's nothing that you have to shy away from when chatting with you. In fact, one of the things that's been going quite well for over a year now is Boozeless at Bosses.
Yeah,
and that's basically because of you. Tell us what got that started then.
Well, Bosses Goes Boozeless is a show that we started doing because, you know, when I got back into comedy, because you know, my reckless life, you know, I did those shows in 2002, you know, and I did comedy for about 3 years off and on, starting in 2002. And then I got involved in some, you know, reckless behavior, and I got on hard times, and I ended up committing a robbery, and I went to prison, and I was in prison for 10 years, and so there was a long gap where I didn't do shows, and then when I got out of prison for the first couple of years, I didn't really worry about that. I was worried about just living life, you know. I got married and stuff, and that didn't go all that well, and then when I got divorced, it was actually ironically that my ex-wife that I was divorcing, like we had just signed divorce papers, and then she sent me a thing about the Full Circle Book Co-op was doing an open mic,
mm-hmm.
and so I started doing shows again, and then, you know, I was, you know, really involved in the recovery scene and everything, and a lot of people were interested in shows, but they didn't want to be around alcohol. You know, they're like, oh, we would come out, but, you know, and so I was like, you know, there's a fix for that, you know, and so I approached Bosses about, you know, doing a show that we didn't have alcohol on, and Sunday seemed like a good fit for that kind of show, you know, and so we've always had them on Sundays, and that's actually Zach Dresch did our headlining, I think, for our second show, which was the best show we ever had, I think. But he did a phenomenal job with that. Like, he promoted the heck out of it.
Yeah.
It was great. You know, and that's the other thing too. Like, the other thing I love about doing the Boozeless shows is it gives me an opportunity to shine a light on some other people. You know what I mean?
Right.
And maybe expose them to another crowd that might not see them otherwise. You know what I mean? And like, I love that. You know what I mean? Because one thing I love about the Sioux Falls scene especially is that it's very nurturing and encouraging and inclusive. You know what I mean? Like, we understand that when we do better as you know, when the whole scene does better, we do better as individuals. You know what I mean? And like, everybody's really in on that.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
really
been a
cool.
very common theme since I started this show a year and a half ago almost, is I have learned that it is not, quote unquote, a competition in this area as a collaboration.
It really is.
People like to work together on the common things.
Right. And like we don't lose our individualities either,
Yeah.
which I think is really why a lot of scenes shy away from that sort of thing, because it's easy to lose your individual voices when you get collective like that. But we mix it up so much, we're so inclusive, and we try and include everybody so much that we really have the ability to keep our voices. You know what I mean? Because I think that's the biggest fear that people have with working with other people is that they don't want to get lost in the mix. You know what I mean?
So were you thinking once you did get out of prison and start doing shows after your ex-wife kind of nudged you toward not a competition, but just an open mic and so forth, were you immediately thinking, oh, here's my chance again?
Kind of. I mean, to be honest, like, because my first couple sets were, they were like home, and I did have the advantage of, so like I did 8 years of my number inside, and then, like I didn't talk about being a comic because like prison, for me, prison was a place where I wanted to not attract attention. And so like to tell people that I used to do comedy and stuff is pretty much, like making myself the jester of the block. And I didn't want to do that. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like a well-known fact. It wasn't something I talked about a lot. But after 8 years in prison, I've gotten to know a few people, and people know about my personal life. And there's people that know. And so they were doing this retirement party for a guy named Jim Halsey, who was the cultural activities coordinator in Springfield for like 30 years. Super awesome guy. That guy helped connect inmates and families like over the years, over and over again. Like the efforts that guy made to help inmates and families stay connected while people were incarcerated. Like that guy did a lot. And so he was very loved by inmates and staff alike. And so for the first time, Springfield decided that they were going to do a retirement party that the inmates and the staff could go to. And they wanted to like, kind of have like a little show for Jim, And so the guy that was organizing it, which was a fellow inmate, wanted to do like a comedy thing. And he had asked a few people and he kept hearing my name. And me and this guy didn't really know each other. You know what I mean? Because like there's 1,200 people in Springfield. You know what I mean? Like so we didn't know each other like that. And so he approached me. He's like, everybody I talk to brings up your name, and I was like, yeah, I mean, what are you thinking about? And so this is on a Friday, right? This is like a Friday evening. This guy's talking to me, and this event is the next Wednesday. Okay. Now I haven't performed in 8 years. Okay. And so he goes, well, I kind of want to do like a little roast of him, just kind of give him some good ribbon before he gets out of here. Cause he would appreciate that, cause he's worked around inmates for 30 years. He understands that when we tease you, that's because we love you. Right. You know what I mean? And so, he was an older guy, and I had actually worked personally with Halsey because I worked in the library. So I knew him a little more personally and, had heard plenty of stories. And I'll say this as an entertainer, and they wanted me to do 20 minutes, right? After like, I was just like, dude, I looked at him. I'm like, do you have any idea what you're asking me? You know what I mean? Like, you have no clue what you're really asking me to do right now. But so as an entertainer, I did a great job. Like, everybody loved it. But as a comic, I threw a lot of softballs. You know what I mean? Like, there was very hacky, you know what I mean? But it was entertaining. It served its purpose. Right.
It did the job.
You know what I mean? And
you read the room. And
yeah. And, it was so great. And he loved it. And they recorded it. And I've heard that he has that recording and often will go back and listen to it. So, I haven't seen Jim since I've been out. There's been other people that I've seen from the prison that I have contact with, but I haven't seen Jim.
All right. But speaking of roasts, you recently got roasted for your birthday.
I did.
What milestone was it, by the way?
I turned 40.
Okay.
Yes, I turned 40 on January 27th. So that was kind of crazy. And it was really kind of weird. So, It was my idea to throw the roast. I thought it would be a fun thing to do.
I did that for my own 40th birthday party.
Did you?
I threw my own surprise party. I told people, now remember, don't tell me.
Right. Remember, don't tell me. Yes. See, that's all. But I mean, it was a fabulous time, and I'm super glad we did it. But what's funny to me about it is that I've actually been going through like some of the worst depression of my life. And then I asked 7 professional comedians and one of my ex-wives to just give it to me. You know what I mean? Like my therapist was like, I don't know if this is the greatest idea you've probably ever had, but it was but it was all about perspective. You know what I mean? And I really the thing to me about the roast was understanding that, you know, all of these things that I joke about, because I joke about some pretty tragic stuff, honestly. You know what I mean? And I find ways to make it funny, and I'm so glad that the crowd laughs, because that helps me. It helps me heal, you know, because they were terrible times. But I understand that I don't ever have to live those terrible times again, you know. And so we could joke about it, we could say whatever, because that ain't what it is anymore. You know what I mean? And so I take a lot of pride in that. You know what I mean? And that's the good kind of pride these days. You know,
that's a good thing.
It's not the chip on my shoulder kind of
Right.
thing. It's the, you know, we can all grow. We can all get better. You know, because dude, like I thought I was a hopeless person. You know what I mean? I considered myself a hopeless case, and so did the system. You know, the system told me in 2007 that I was 95% to go back to prison. And when you're telling that to a 2-time felon, you're telling them that they're going to spend their life in prison. And I made a decision that day that that was not going to be true, you know, and here I am.
And we're fortunate to have you, too. Appreciate it. And like I said, you know, the honesty you have about everything you've been through and go through, it's enriching. And it lifts other people up too. You know, while they're lifting you up, you're doing the same for others.
Yeah, we're helping each other.
Yeah, exactly. But let's get back to the comedy part then.
Yeah.
So, you know, the nice thing, getting the MC position.
Yeah.
Where did it start to ramp up after that then?
I mean, you know, it was really kind of crazy, because the first thing I did, because like when I won that contest, the headliner for that week with which was this lady named Kathleen Dunbar. Like at first she refused to believe it was my first show. She's like, "There's no way." I'm like, "I'm telling you," you know. And so she told me to get this book, because like I said, I didn't know the first thing. Didn't know anything about, you know, setups, punchlines, you know, how to form your set, how to take the audience on a ride. You know what I mean? Because there's a real mastery to it.
There's an art to it.
Yeah. Oh, man. You know, and so, like, and I went and I got this book and I studied and I wrote and I practiced. And I mean, and I took my MC position very seriously. And like one of the things that I recognized about Nitwits is that we had regulars. You know, Nitwits Comedy Club had this thing that on Wednesdays, if you wore their T-shirts, you get in for free. So that meant every Wednesday we had people that had definitely seen the show before. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so it's my job to give them something different. You know what I mean? It didn't matter to me that I was a house MC. My regulars deserved for me to give them something fresh. And so I worked on new stuff all the time. And that was probably like the biggest thing to my benefit, is like getting that regular gig right away forced me to write. I had to, you know? And so
pretty well on the job training for you then.
Yeah. I mean, I was thrown to it right away, you know, and then my head definitely got big, you know what I mean? And I definitely acted too big for my britches. And I was moving to California, and I just, you know, I acted unprofessionally, you know, and my last show at Nitwits, I really burned the management and stuff. And then I took off to California thinking it wouldn't matter. You know what I mean? And which is the worst kind of attitude for any entertainer to ever have. You know what I mean? But I was a person of poor character. This is pre-prison. You know what I mean? So it doesn't, like, looking back now, like, I find it disappointing, but looking back and understanding that that's the kind of person I was before I went to prison, I get it. You know what I mean? Like I was a real POS, you know. So I took off to California, and my first show in California was terrible. Fell on my face at the Comedy Store, and which wasn't easy to get into.
Right,
like the Comedy Store has a lottery system, and like you can wait weeks or months to get on the stage at the Comedy Store. And so I ended up, like, I think I waited like a month and a half before I finally got my ticket called, you know, and I got on stage there, and I couldn't, like, I was telling the punchline before the setup. I was forgetting, you know, I never wanted to crawl under a rock so bad in my life. And it scared me so bad that I didn't do another show for 3 months. Like, I was terrified. I was like, dude, you just uprooted your whole life and moved to Los Angeles for that? You know? I was like, and I was terrified. What did you do? What did you do, man? You know, like, and but then, like, I started doing some regular clubs or spots. I shouldn't say, you know, some of them were clubs, some were bowling alleys. Like, just, you know, LA is full of mics. I mean, there's mics everywhere. I mean, you could do multiple, you know, at least pre-COVID, you know, back in the early 2000s, you could do multiple mics every night. Like, you could really grind out there, you know? And so I was getting it, but there were some regular places I was going. And then I started being mentored by Dante the Comic. And Dante the Comic, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He used to be involved with Comic View quite a bit. And he does a lot of love. I think he works with Golden Artist Entertainment now. But he's a super good guy. He's a great impressionist. He's got a bit about the Wizard of Oz where all the characters are like different characters, and it's fabulous. If you've never seen that, you should definitely check that out. But I started getting mentored by that guy, and he really, like, helped me understand taking the audience for that ride and the importance of telling a not so good joke sometimes. You know what I mean?
Right.
To take them up and down and all around, and transitions. Like I transitioned pretty smoothly from one thing to the next, and that's, you know, something that I was taught to do. Like, you know, and that is part of the art form, you know, because like when like comedians like Robin Williams and things like that, they seem, Robin always seemed like he was so sporadic, but he wasn't.
No.
You know, like if you read on him, like he was not really nearly as sporadic as he seemed.
Yeah.
You know?
In fact, one time when he was on improv, on Whose Line Is It Anyway, I thought, wow, not quite as sharp as we thought he would be.
Right.
You know, because we're so used to that. But like you say, you know, a lot of improv, first of all, can, while not rehearsed, it's things that go through your head all the time.
Yeah, there's
too.
patterns.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You've got it all figured out. But so then when you got back here and life had turned around and you're out of prison, you're finding some stuff to do, at what point then did it get to be that all of a sudden we know who William Conway is?
Man, you know, I don't know. You know, like I said, you know, the Sioux Falls scene is, you know, super encouraging. So, like, I mean, everybody just like everybody accepted me right away. You know what I mean? You know, because like it was definitely clear that I had some seasoning to me, you know, like it wasn't my first go round.
Right.
But I definitely had to kick some rust off, that's for sure. You know, and like Nathan Holtz, he really helped me a lot. You know, and you know, he said something to me once because I asked him, you know, where he thought I was at or whatever. And at first I didn't like what he said. But then I really started to think about what he said and what I like to do, and because he told me, because I was asking him where he thought I was at comedically, and he was like, "I think you're a really great host." And but when I think about what I love to do, as far as like shining the light on other people too, you know what I mean? Awesome, you know what I mean? And really, that's what Conway Comedy is really about, is like I love hosting shows and highlighting other people that might not get a spotlight otherwise. You know what I mean? So yeah, and so like when I thought about it, okay, yeah, I do like hosting, and that is something that I really like to do, and I love bringing people up. You know what I mean? Like I love revving the crowd up for somebody. And actually, and I've done it not just for comedy stuff. Like I remember I introduced a main speaker for a state convention of a 12-step program, right? And when I introduced that speaker, it felt like a WWE event was about to take place. Like that crowd was ready. You know what I mean? Like, and so like I love that kind of thing.
Oh, awesome.
So,
all right, a couple of questions I always love to get in at the end is, first of all, when you're not out being an entertainer, what do you like to be entertained by?
Oh, movies for sure. I love movies. I haven't really seen a whole lot lately. I mean, obviously it's more Netflix these days because you don't go out so much or whatever. But I do love to go to movies. But like, I don't know, I love to spend time with friends. I have a lot of friends that are into different things. And so, and I'm pretty easy to, I'll do whatever. So I have a friend that's into bowling, so sometimes I'll go and hang out at the bowling alley when they're doing. I watch people. I watch people do other things. Is what I do.
Okay, so any other hobbies then?
I mean, karaoke for sure.
Yes,
dude, I sing like crazy. I love
you
it.
do.
I have this Star Maker app that I've actually really been doing a lot with recently, because it's a lot of fun. And you can sing pretty much anything on there, and I try and go get it. Like but I have a friend that's been taking me around to karaoke almost every night in the last couple weeks.
What's your go-to song?
She's Like the Wind is probably one of
really,
yeah. But like I probably shouldn't sing that song so much. Lady, I'm only allowed to sing to one lady.
Okay.
I would love to sing that song,
right?
And I could really I love Kenny Rogers. I grew up loving Kenny, and so I love singing that song, but I'm not supposed to sing it to only one lady, and I get that. That's fine. But I did sing. I think I did "She Believes in Me" the other night, and people were just like, "Holy cow!"
Yeah.
Because it's weird because those songs, I think the only reason I can sing those songs today is because I sang them so much when I was 12. You know what I mean? And my voice still remembers.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird.
Well, see, the only reason I do karaoke instead of singing other things is I can't remember anything, so I have to have the words in front of me.
Right.
All right. Hey, William Conway, great chatting with you. Thanks for being on the Dave Holly Hour.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. We'll be back to wrap up the show in just a moment.
Sure, they have darts, and you've heard me talk about how ruggedly handsome the trivia host is, but all caps fun never stops at the Sky Lounge and Tea. And fun is best had with your friends enjoying live entertainment, as in live and local. Yeah, the Sky Lounge believes in giving you the best bands, solo artists, and comedians from the area. The Neo Johnsons, Elizabeth Hunstead, Skylar Volks, as well as many others. And a great staff will make sure you enjoy your fun at the Sky Lounge in Tea, South Dakota.
From the Dipsy Doodle Studios at the world headquarters of Big D Entertainment, a 40-square-foot home studio in the middle of America, it's Dave Holly.
Thanks again to Sadie Swier from downtown Sioux Falls and William Conway, our local comedian. Also thanks to Wood Grain, the Frontier Bank, and Aquafresh there at 9th and Phillips. Nice little lobby area that we record quite a few of our conversations here. In fact, if I were to put a precise percentage on it, I'd say like 87.92. Thanks to all of you as well for the social media likes and shares on Facebook and Instagram. Appreciate that. The downloads we've had on the various formats and platforms for this show. And don't forget, if you need to know more about the show, go to DaveHolleyHour.com. If you'd like to find out more about what I'm doing in other forms of entertainment, you can always find out by going to DaveHolley.com. As for what we're going to be doing on this frigid weekend, tonight we're going to make our way down to Our Wine Bar for some live jazz. Saturday, we're splitting the crew. Some of us are going to be out at Red Rock singing for Crazy Frank Karaoke. And then some of us will be leaving from there, coming back to Woodgrain to hear our buddies from 6 Feet Over. Stay on top of it all, people. But most of all, this week, stay warm. I'm Dave Holley, and for me, every day is a holiday.
The Dave Holley Hour has been brought to you by the Sky Lounge and Tea, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, and Books and Brews Pizzeria. If you would like to contribute to the continued success of this podcast, go to DaveHolleyHour.com. At the bottom of the front page is the additional links section. Click on the orange button, Dave Holley on Linktree. You can order merchandise, become a Dave Holley Hour VIP, and make contributions to the show. The Dave Holley Hour is produced in the Dipsy Doodle Studios by Big D Entertainment.
Thanks for listening.